We have some very interesting things coming up. I don't know if we'll get all three of this weekend's messages, but Sunday morning we're doing one of Jesus' teachings called Double or Nothing. And that is extremely interesting and extremely good for you to hear as to what you're doing with what you've got. And then Sunday evening we're doing the first in the three-part series of Carl Jung's Psychoanalysts and the Human Mind and what you are and why you do what you do. Okay, you have the Bhagavad Gita in your hand, and I wanted to go back just a little bit because we talked last week about these, what seems to be various approaches to the inner kingdom. Some people sacrifice to the powers, others offer themselves on the altar of the eternal, and we kind of ran away with that last week before we left. And I just want to stop there for a minute so that we can understand what this means. You know, what does it mean? The altar of the eternal. And each one of us, and all of you people, and there are just people jumping on this network all over the place, and the last we had here was about 412, and we've had more since then. So I don't know. I think we picked up 4 new people in Cherry Hill and all over New Jersey the other day. So God knows how many are with you now. But you people especially out there, because I don't have the opportunities sometimes to respond to questions, although we will do that here some night. But when you talk about Krishna saying some offer themselves on the altar of the eternal, well, if you get the Bible that you have and go to page 365 in your Old Testament, and the rest of you go to a book that you generally don't look at, 1 Chronicles and chapter 21. 1 Chronicles and chapter 21. And let's take a look at something that I think I'm going to try to get through to you before we wind up the program tonight and before you folks that are here leave. 1 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 26, page 365 in those little Bibles. And David built an altar unto the Lord and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings and called upon the Lord. And he, God, answered him from heaven by fire upon the altar of burnt offering. So there, whatever David or whatever is put upon that altar is consumed by fire. Now, this is very important. And you'll see why in a minute. And whatever is put on that altar is consumed by fire. Now there's a reason for this. And let's take a look on, you're on page 365. Go back to page 312 in the Old Testament. And the rest of you go to 1 Kings and go to chapter 18. 1 Kings chapter 18. And if we'll look around, this has to do with Elijah and the prophets of Baal, okay? And there was a contest between them and between Elijah. And if you look at 1 Kings 18, verse 38, then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice and the wood and the stones and the dust and licked up the water that was in the trench. In other words, everything that was put on the altar was consumed by that fire. And here is what Krishna is saying. He's saying that some sacrifice themselves on the altar. And you know what he's saying? They allow everything that they have to be consumed by this power. All fire begins to fall and consume whatever it is. See? And here's the question. What are you willing to put on that altar? How much are you willing to put on that altar? Because there are things that consume your time, there are things that consume your energy, there are things that consume other aspects of your life that you're not prepared to put. And yet if you look and see empty seats, and you can see there's a lot of people that are not prepared to go this distance, go all the way. You know what I'm saying to you? Because if they were prepared to go all the way, this place would be packed. It's not. Because what? It's Friday night. And what does it say? Other things are consuming our time. Friday night, what are you going to do? You could be doing a lot of things on a Friday night, and there would be things to consume your time. And so you're not really willing to place yourself on this altar and be totally consumed. Okay. Look at 44:2. Some sacrifice their physical senses in the fire of self-control. Others offer up their contact with external objects in the sacrificial fire of their senses. So here then we have the lower mind, sacrificing their physical senses. The passion burns, the need to act out the physical becomes overwhelming, see? And only meditation then can perform that sacrifice. In other words, here it says they sacrifice their physical senses in the fire of self-control. And so what is it that attracts you? What is it that consumes you? What is it that consumes me that's more important than this? And what is it that we allow to consume our time that will keep us away from this? It could be a million different things. There are people who would be interested in this, but who cannot be here tonight because their physical senses are consumed by something else, regardless of what it may be. Maybe they're tired, maybe they just want to lay on the couch and watch television. Whatever it is, time's going by, right? I was talking to somebody today, and this person said to me, I was out in the car driving, and I realized and I noticed all of the leaves have changed, and it's reds and yellows and all of this. And I said to myself, where the heck did the summer go? Where did the spring go? I missed it. I missed it. And pretty soon the snow's going to fall out of the sky. What happened to the robins and everything? I missed it because I was consumed in so many other things. See? And what he said was very, very good. He said, you know what? We seem to be racing each other to see who can get to the grave first. I'll beat you. No, you won't. I'll beat you. And so we get consumed. And what did he say? He was so consumed by his physical senses in other things, he missed the spring. He missed the summer. It went by. Chaos. All chaos. And finally, when he had a chance, he was out driving in Jackson Township, and he slowed his car, and he looked, and he says, geez, look at all the beautiful leaves, but where did the summer go? It sounds like a Rod McEwen song. Where did the summer go? Where did the summer go? So all passion then in that which is our experience. And in all of our experiences, sometimes when you talk passion, it can be your temper, it can be your drive in order to get and to do. And you just got to get involved in all of these things. So your time is totally consumed. You have something going on here in this town and in all the towns around here. I don't know of an era when children have been more oppressed by the elements of the system than they are today. I mean, getting a kid through life without trying marijuana or drugs or getting involved in some kind of sexual problem. I mean, it's extremely difficult to raise kids. So when is the one time when all churches, and I mean, the pastors and churches take a good shot. I may not agree with them in theosophical things or philosophy, but they try. What time is it that would be the most advantageous where we can give the kids some kind of moral upbringing? Sunday morning. What do? Organize football. They organize adults organizing kids to play football, and they put it right smack in the middle of the time when churches are having their services. They're gone. It's almost as if it's deliberate, And so what happens? Not only are the kids consumed in it, but their parents are consumed in it, so none of them come. That doesn't make a difference. This church, any church. Why? Oh, it's too important. I mean, they will not be here until football season is over. Say, and what is? We've taught them how to compete. We've taught them how to combat one another. And then we not only take the boys and get them out there, but we got the girls, so we got them being the cheerleaders and all of this stuff. So the whole family is consumed in going out to play football. And there's a time to play football. It's not all playing football. I, myself, have a problem with adults interfering in the lives of children. I'll tell you, I don't think that's one bit healthy. And I don't think that contributes at all to a well-being, peace of mind. I know when I was a kid, one of the great things that I experienced in my lifetime was able to get out of the house and leave all the adults in the dust and take off and head for Vailsburg Park or Elmwood Park or one of those places up in Newark and disappear all day. We never saw an adult. And now they're surrounded by them.
There was a thing we heard on the radio the other day, if they had to arrest some guy who punched out an umpire or something because he called a shot, or they canceled the game or something. It's going to kill the guy. Oh, jeez. What a mistake that is. What a mistake. And we think, oh, this is a wonderful thing. We're going to organize. We're not organizing anything. We are simply sharing our stress with the kids. Why should we, have all this stress to ourselves? Let's give it to some of our kids. And so we do these things. Well, of course, people can get mad at that, but I'm just giving you an opinion from a spiritual standpoint. There is no excuse for any group, whomever it is, to pull kids and their families out of church on Sunday mornings, whatever that church may be, to play anything. There's no reason you can't do it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock. No reason. So, what then is he saying? He's saying, what is it that consumes you, that keeps you occupied with other things? What is it? Remember, we talked Sunday about the 5 wise virgins who were able to hold some of the oil in that lamp, That's an interesting thing. People don't quite understand it. The passion of the body can consume. The passion of the body can consume. And all kinds of sexual experiences. And so the ancients taught, well, before your meditation, don't have any sexual intercourse or don't get into any sexual activity so that you can maintain the oil in the lamp. Leave some oil so that there's enough there to rise in your kundalini and so forth and so on. But if you want to see it graphically in the Bible, do you remember when Jesus was about to rise up to the Father? That's a symbol of the lower solar plexus flesh rising up to the higher consciousness. And after the crucifixion, which is a symbol of meditation, what did he tell the first woman he saw at the grave? Do not touch me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. That's what he taught. That's what that means. Has nothing to do. He's not going to fly up in the sky. Doesn't mean there's anything dirty about a woman or anything. It's saying that he will not spill out that seed in a intercourse physically until he rises to the Father. See, and men and women both, so that you are to keep yourself until your meditation. You are not to consume yourself in other things, because the other things will keep you down here. And I really would dwell for a minute on what this fellow told me. Today we're racing with each other to the graveyard. Who can get there the fastest? And we're missing things because the priorities are not straight. I'm not talking about going to church as a priority. No, absolutely not. But this meditation is a heavy-duty priority. And I'll tell you something else about what goes on in this place right here. Meditation, in and of itself, will not do it for you. You have to understand, and you have to have the teachings to go with it. That's why Jesus Christ said, my words have made you clean. Because when you have meditation, you may have things begin to happen to you. You may begin to start becoming enlightened. But enlightened to what? Unless you know what the teachings and the directions are. You can have a brand new car, but if you don't know, or if you haven't read the directions or the instructions, you do not know how to use the various things, and you don't get the full advantage of the thing that you have. So let's take a look at 44:2 again. Others offer up their contact with external objects in the sacrificial fire of their senses. There it is again. You see? It's not saying, read this rightly, he's not saying, oh, there's one type of person that does this, and there's another type of person that does that, and there's another type of person that does this. That's not what this is saying. This is calling to mind all of the various aspects that will keep you away, and that you have to be willing to sacrifice if you're going to hit this. This isn't some easy thing. I mean, you're going to have to give up. That's what sacrifice is all about. There has to be some kind of prioritizing here. I was talking to this fellow who we've been talking to who has cancer, and when I spoke to him at a wedding reception the other night, his daughter got married, and I said, gee, are you meditating? Well, I'm waiting for this thing of the CAT scan. I said, well, it doesn't make any difference whether the CAT scan comes back. If it's good or if it's bad, you have to do this anyhow. Which is the thing that I have on my mind is getting to Florida. I said, man, get your priorities straight. The thing that you have on your mind and what you have to deal with is the problem that you have, and you have to deal with that. I said, Florida is going to be there for millions of years. So what you have to do is address this thing. You've got to get the priorities straight. What's really important? And here you're in the advent of a new age, and people are still running around. Well, I got to do this, I got to do that. You don't have to do anything. You have to get your priority state and start plugging into this. And so what does it say? Offer up, verse 2, offer up your contact with external objects in the sacrificial fire of the senses. Look at page 97 in your little Bibles in the New Testament, John chapter 8. John chapter 8 and verse 23. And this is what Jesus is talking about. And this is what you've got to say. And this is what you've got to learn. And this is where you've got to bring yourself to. Okay? You know, one of the things I've noticed in doing these television programs is that I'm not really looking at the camera enough, and you've kind of excluded. It's not quite personal enough. So remind me to do that. John 8, chapter 23, what does Jesus say? You are from beneath. I am from above. You're of this world. I'm not of this world. What's he talking about? Above what? Is he from Jupiter, Mars, Pluto, the moon? No. The higher realm of consciousness, the divine consciousness. That's what he's saying. You're of the lower consciousness. I'm of the higher consciousness. So you're of this world, and you're caught up in the rat race. I'm not. I'm not. I dwell in a higher realm of consciousness. You dwell in the lower realm of consciousness. But most people who are in religious circles and in Christian circles will believe that when Jesus said that, he was saying, I'm from the moon or I'm from the planet somewhere. I'm not from down here. That's be so stupid even to consider something like that. But yet we all believe that. He was from outer space. That if you say, do you believe there's people in outer space? All the people that believe him say no. So where did he come from? He's talking about an inner space, a higher space. So there are those who give themselves to the extent of separation from outward physical things. That doesn't mean you become a monk. That doesn't mean you become a hermit. That doesn't mean you sequester yourself off from everything. It means you have a priority, and nothing gets in the way of the... realistically speaking, on Tuesday nights when you have meditation, it should be packed to the rafters here, and it should be so that we'd have to have it Wednesday night and Thursday night and all the other nights so that there'd be enough to... But it doesn't. It's not, simply because people are external, and they are only titillated by those external things, and they continue to be titillated until they get older and older, and then they die and they missed it all. Just like the fellow that said, where did the summer go? I missed it. I was so caught up in all of the chaos that I missed it. See? So what is interesting here, and I think what we're beginning to see here, is the theme that flows through the approaches which may be different. There is the willingness to set aside what consumes our time and what consumes our family time. And then are you willing to take that? Would there be a person, say, that's not sitting here tonight who would say, hey, it's Friday night, what are we going to do? Well, no, let's go down there and we'll get in a little meditation and we'll get in a little... No, I don't want to do that. Who wants to go to church? Who wants to do this on a Friday night? No, but that's the priority. That's where the cancer is healed. That's where life is turned around. That's where you become part of what we call this new age of God consciousness, of Christ consciousness. Right now, you have the second coming of Christ that you've all read about, you've prayed about, you've sung about. It is happening now in this age. And you would think that the place would be changed. But no, because why? Don't want to go that far. It's okay for Sunday, but don't go that far. So that's an interesting thing. What is it then that Krishna is talking about that prevents you from coming to meditation? What activity consumes you that you have no time? Now look at 44:3, and we'll see more. Others again sacrifice what? Their activities and their vitality in the spiritual fire. That's meditation. Spiritual fire is meditation. That's what it is. It's actually that churning, that fire that rises from the lower parts. It's meditation. And it says of self-abnegation, which means self-denial. Kindled by what? What? Kindled by what? There you go. What kindles the fire? Wisdom, understanding, enlightenment. Because if you don't have it, all this is I heard some music, I felt some strange thing. You don't know from nothing already, and you're trying to figure, I'm going to meditate, and you sit there, and absolutely nothing is happening because you don't understand it. What did it just say? Read it again. Sacrifice their activities, verse 3, and their vitality in the spiritual fire of self-denial, kindled by wisdom. That's what starts the fire roaring, because you understand where you're going when you start out on the journey. Otherwise, you don't know what the heck you're doing. Because people say, I am talking to people, many of you people on the New Age Network that call me on the phone or that write me, who have been into this New Age for years and haven't the slightest idea where you're going with this thing. And then she'll say, gee, I didn't know this, and then I didn't know Jesus said this, I didn't know the Bible says that. And that's what gives you wisdom, so then you know what you're searching for. You know what you're looking for. Sunday morning, we're doing a teaching which Jesus Christ says, hey, I gave you 5. He doubled it. He got 10. I gave you 2. He doubled it. He got 4. I gave you 1. What did he do with it? He hid it out in his own yard. He dug into himself and squandered it. See? So when you take what you've got and use it, you'll double it. When you take what you've got and keep it for yourself, a la denominational religion, you got nothing. Okay? And so what? He said, you've got, I gave it to you, but you didn't do anything with it. You didn't deposit, you didn't invest it. And it'll double, and it'll increase. You will. And it's all consciousness, and it's there for you. But it takes a little bit of dedication. You see people that'll get up and they go, geez, they'll go to work and get involved in all kinds of stuff. Nothing is too important. Nothing will turn. But as far as getting involved here, getting involved in this stuff, it's too much. Too difficult. But this is very, very important. This is kindled by wisdom. And activities are the kinds of things. They sacrifice their activities, number 3. Activities are the things that keep you away. And vitality. What is it? Vitality. What is consuming your energy, both physical and mental? Oh, I got to take the kids down here and I got to do this, and we got to study this, we got to go over to the library, and I had to take the kids to register for this. Everything is consuming it. Oh, I got to do it. No, you don't have to do all of that. This is a matter of life and death. This is a matter of life and death. And all it requires of you is stillness and listening. Take this upon yourself to study and become enlightened, and allow this wisdom to start kindling that fire that sets you and your family. You want to do something for your kids? You want to do something for your family? But what's the important thing now? Take them to learn them how to play football. Oh, that'll do it. It won't. And I don't have anything against kids playing football. I have anything against kids playing. But for God's sake, so there are no priorities. And then we'll all work as the police have to drag him out off to the streets and out of the gutters. Oh my God, whatever happened to him? I raised him to be a good boy and all, and you missed the whole blasted thing. Missed it. Nobody listened. Nobody paid any attention. So what do? Well, we'll do the next thing. So we'll set up drug outreach centers in all the little towns so we can help them when they all come in cockeyed. Every town has got a little drug center. It's a little drug center here and a drug center here, because we've got to have drug centers because everybody's on drugs. Could you ever imagine such a thing like this? Because there's no wisdom. Why? Why then? Because nobody understands what the heck they're doing here, what the heck their purpose is, what's the purpose of life, what's the purpose of the world, why do I have my head, why do I have a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere, why are there stars, why is all this stuff? What did Krishna say? What did Buddha say? What did Jesus say? Does anybody no. So what do we have instead? Drugs. And all of the other paraphernalia that comes with it. When you have wisdom, then you'll understand the need not to allow yourself or your family to be separated from meditation and these teachings. They're critical to you. You don't even have to understand a thing, just hearing it, just like rain that rains down. There is a seed that is inside of you, and your subconscious is nurturing that seed, but it needs water. It needs the truth. And you're hearing it, and that's pouring down on you like a rain. Do you think that the seed that sits in the ground understands that the water's coming down? Do you think that seed says, where does the water come from? Oh, water is 2 parts hydrogen and oxygen. I know this. It knows nothing. It just gets wet. That's all you have to do, get wet. You don't have to listen to it. You don't have to understand it. But your consciousness does. Your mind does. And it's being fed into you. And it is a beacon of light. And it's coming from the beacons of light. And it is coming to train you to become one of the beings of light. Because this world is about to be taken totally in a different direction. As we're sitting here talking about this, they got Jews and Arabs sitting around a table talking about this stuff. Yelling at each other, so what? But they're sitting talking, yelling, screaming. That is a new age. New age. And that's nothing compared to what's already happened, and yet that's nothing compared to what's going to happen. And here, when you should be listening and learning. And yes, indeed, somebody in some great celestial being of whatever wisdom channels through me to be able to tell you this stuff. Because I don't have any reason to know the things that I know. So where does it come from? A being of light. And it's given to you. And you can take it or you can reject it. That's your right. But let's take this word again. What's this television program? If you turn on the television program, many times you see the sign come on, hidden meanings. You watch in the TV, I say the program's called Hidden Meanings. We have stationery that's called Hidden Meanings. Joan concocted new stationery, Hidden Meanings. Jesus, I mean, it's all this stuff. Take a look at something. Go to page 541 in your little Bibles, and Proverbs 1:1. I'll tell you something out there. A lot of you folks say, well, I want those little Bibles. You know, we're giving them away, but we're finding out that they're starting to shrink back on the table there. So I'll tell you what, we'll cut a deal with you. And send $5, you know, because it costs like $2, almost $3 to mail the doggone thing. Send $5 and we'll send you a little Bible. All right, and then you can follow along, okay? That's not, I don't like to talk about, I'm not telling you about making money. The thing costs $2 plus $3 for mailing. You just pay for that part of it, and then we'll send it to you. But, you know, they're going because everybody wants a little Bible. Let me show you. Do you have one? Yeah, let me show you a little Bible. It's a little Bible. It is. It's little. But we have, you know, when I call out the pages, people find it easy for them then at home to go and find what we're talking about. Look at this on page 541 of your little Bible. Proverbs 1:1. You see that? What's it say? Proverbs of Solomon, Proverbs 1:2. To know what? Wisdom. Wisdom. And then if you'll drop down, it'll talk to you about wisdom. And then if you go to 6, to understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. Dark sayings are hidden meanings. It's what it is. And that's why it's important for you to know why you're doing the things you do, how you're doing the things that you're doing. Okay? And what the purpose of it is. That's why the teachings are so very, very important for you to hear. And I'll go back to what I said, and you know, many people, remember the Beatles were into transcendental meditation. You remember when they were into meditation? So what? I mean, the problem with it was that they went and did it, but they didn't have the wisdom or the understanding as to what was being done or what was supposed to happen or how it was done or anything like that. Let's take a look for just a minute and a couple more. 44:4. And yet others offer as their sacrifice wealth. Now, don't you find that the need to work cuts into your meditation time and do things? It's important. But you need the money. And you say, but how much and at how big of a cost, you know? I mean, you see what it says here? Wealth, austerities. Austerities is simply being alone. See, austerities and meditation is being alone. Cutting yourself away, being alone. It's so very important to you. Because, you know, you make the money and you have to go to work. I'm not saying you don't have to go to work. I have to go to work. We all have to go to work. But there is a time when there has to be a priority. The priority is that this has to come first. Even at your work, you have to find, whether you go in the men's room or the ladies' room or wherever you go, and you meditate. And you set time aside and say, this is meditation time. And, you know, it's easy to say, and I can stand up here and say it, but very, very few do it. Because you're what? You're consumed by what's going on. And it's what's going on is not a fraction of importance or value to you or to your children or to your family as meditation. To understand that, to plug back in to that which is quote unquote God. This is one of the early scriptures that I found in the Bible that I loved very much that describes this point of being alone in meditation is in page 515 of your little Bible, and it's Psalms 102. Psalms 102, page 515 of the little Bible. And I love this because this to me is the most beautiful description of meditation, single-eye meditation. Psalm 102 in verse 7. And here it says, I watch and am as a sparrow alone upon the housetop. Isn't that beautiful? I watch and am as a sparrow alone on the housetop. Can you just imagine this little bird sitting all by itself on top of the roof of the house, watching. And that's meditation. It's a beautiful description of meditation. And that's what you do. You just sit there for that short space of time. And many times you'll see a little bird sit, and it'll fly away. But it has spent its time, its quiet time, it's alone, and this is what you have to do. This is what's important to do. This is what I like too. Watch this one. 44:4. Monks, wedded to their vows, renounce their scriptural learning and even their spiritual power. See, once you take a vow, you become a disciple. You withdraw into the solitude of the center. This is interesting. This is really, really interesting what Krishna is saying. Did you see what he just said? Look what he said here. Monks wedded to their vows renounce their scriptural learning. Look out. Do you know what he just said here? That all of the preachers and all of the evangelists and all of the teachers of the Bible and the TV ministers, once they would find this and take a vow, they would have to renounce all of their scriptural learning. Give it up. See how hard this is? See why it's intolerable for these people to think that? I mean, they go to universities, theological universities, or and college for years to learn all this, and then suddenly it's a renounce it all. Stop it all. You know what they used to do? I'll tell you what they used to do. In the New Testament times, when somebody would come upon this, and they would be filled with knowledge of God and the Bible and all of this stuff, whatever. There wasn't the Bible at that time. When they would find this, they would then make a vow, and they would shave their head. They'd look all, for attention purposes, like a Buddhist monk. They would shave their head totally bald. And the reason was, in that sect, the hair was a symbol of intellectual growth. My own intelligence growing. I will shave that to show that I have taken a vow, that I am now dwelling in consciousness, that I am no longer plugged into the external growth. I am now only plugged into inward growth, so I will shave my head. Go with me, if you would. You don't have a little Bible out there, I'm sure. Whoever you do. Some of you do. The rest of you here, go to page 131 in the New Testament. Page 131 in the New Testament. Okay? That'd be great. Page 131 in the New Testament. Yes, the book of Acts, Acts 18, I'm sorry. Acts 18 and verse 18. This is the Apostle Paul. Acts 18 and verse 18, the Apostle Paul. And Paul, after this, tarried, waited yet a good while, and then took his leave of the brethren, and sailed into Syria, and with him Priscilla and Aquila. Watch this next step. Having shorn his head in Kenchira, for he had a vow. What did he do? Look out now. You never heard of have any of your evangelists done this? In fact, most of them just do the opposite. They get a piece to put on here, if you know. No, they don't. Did you see what he did? He shaved his head as a Buddhist monk because he was declaring, I will no longer live to the rules of the external. I now live to the rules of the internal. I will no longer live on outer doctrine. I lived on inner doctrine. Let me show you something. Go over a few pages to Acts chapter 21. I want to show you something. See, this wasn't just the Apostle Paul. It got to be quite a thing. Now take a look at Acts 21. Are you all there? Okay. Go to verse 23. And here's somebody talking to Paul. Do therefore this that we say to you, we have 4 men which have a vow on them. Take them, purify yourself with them, be at charges with them. In other words, take control of them, that they may shave their heads. It's in your Bible, isn't it? Now, how come your Christian teachers who talk so much about Paul do not look more like a Buddhist monk as Paul did? They don't. Look a little more like Elvis Presley, but they don't look like, Ramayama or whatever their names are. How come? How come? Paul did. And you know the funny thing about this? This is great. I mean, many of you people gone to church all of your life. They never tell you this. Nobody ever told you this. Nobody ever told you that Paul, I mean, we treat the Apostle Paul like he was some guy from the local Baptist or Methodist church or the Catholic church, the Apostle Paul. This guy looked exactly like a Buddhist monk. He had his robes on and his shaved head, and he would walk up and down the street preaching repentance. Just as they do at Tibet or wherever they have the Dalai Lama, he would look exactly the same. And he was teaching the same stuff. But you saw it in the Bible. Not only did he shave his head when he took the vow, but he shaved the heads of those who were following him. Go back to chapter 18. I want to show you something. I want to show you something very, very interesting. And I hope that there was a very strange character who showed up in the Bible only one time. He was a strange mystic. Okay? And he taught exactly the things that you hear here. Much Hinduism, much Eastern philosophy. You can look and read about him. His name was Dionysius. Dionysius shows up in the Bible one time. I want to show it to you. Go back to Acts 18 where you were. And you'll see in Acts 17, verse 34, it's the last verse in Acts 17. Howbeit, certain men clave unto him. In other words, there was a certain people that started hanging around Paul and believed, among the which was Dionysius. And a woman. Now, very interesting. Right after Paul runs into this strange dude, Dionysius, the mystic, what's he do? Zip, zip, shaves his head. Strange and interesting. And you say it's in your book. It's in your Bible. They have arrived. And what does this condition of disciplining and vowing yourself produce in you? 44:4. Renounce your scriptural learning, even your spiritual powers. In other words, you know what it said? You know what he just said? Monks. Monks. They've been trained all of their lives in the scriptures. You ever see pictures of them? They sit in the candlelight and they're writing the Bible and all the scriptures. They've given their lives to do all this stuff. But once they find this that you are having handed to you, what do? They renounce their scriptural learning. In other words, you free yourself from all traditional religious training because the scriptures don't mean anything to you like they mean to you now. You even renounce your spiritual power. Why? And do you know that there's a guy on Christian television that's amazing. You watch this. He gets people up and he touches them and they fall on the floor. Then they'll come up and he'll wave at them and they'll fall on the floor. Then he'll get them all to get up and he'll go like this and the whole crowd will fall down and everybody's falling and he's running around like a peacock going like that and they'll fall in this way. What is he doing? He's demonstrating his power. His power. There's no Jesus there. There's no God there. The last time I saw that done as well is when I saw the amazing Kreskin. He does it too. Because you can do it. When you rev them up, folks, when you rev them up and psych them up with a few foot-stomping songs and really get the sweat pouring and get them jumping up and down, get the adrenaline flowing, you can go like that and they fall over because they're into it. But the problem with it is, and believe me, I know, we used to do it. The problem is when they get off the floor, they're just as screwed up as before they fell. Just as screwed up. Absolutely nothing happens except they now idolize this character. The amazing Kreskin with a collar. What then is this saying? You not only renounce your scriptures, you also renounce your power. Why? Because you now disappear into the oneness of nirvana. You become one with the infinite. You become one with nothingness. And so then you become one with Jesus, who says, of myself, I can do nothing. I have no power. None at all. The Father within me does the work. So I know. When I spoke with Joan tonight, I said, I wish I could understand who channels the teachings through me. I wish somebody would tell. And I feel it's a little closer to whoever they are, have come very, very close over these last few days. And magnificent things of God. If they heard me saying this, they'd say, there's New Agers. He's saying he's surrounded by people that are coming and channeling and all of this stuff, But if I said the angels have come and ministered unto me, it would be fine. Just how you identify who they are. Call them angels, it's okay. Call them beings of light. Bah! You know what I'm saying to you? It's all in the words. And the point is, if you want to call them angels, let it be. But when they come, don't run away. That's the problem with those people. When the angels or the beings of light come, they run away and they say, it's a cult, it's a cult. It's demonic. You see, and they then run away from the hand which is trying to heal them. They bite the hand that feeds them, literally. And they miss all of the communion which is now possible. Because these beings, angels, God forces, are pouring down here like meteors all over the planet Earth now. That's why all this stuff's going on. And you are open to it. And they're ready to lift you and take you and instruct you, carry you off. I meant to bring you the picture of Ahura Mazda in his spaceship. Did I show you? I showed you that, didn't I? Yeah. I did show you that. You don't know anything of the good things that went on. Really what this is all about. But I think tonight Krishna gave us a real good teaching on what it is that we must do. We must not allow things to consume our time. We must, on the other hand, place ourselves on the altar and let ourselves be consumed. That must be the priority, the most important thing in the world. She is zipping herself up. That means that's over. It's over when she zips her Bible. She doesn't have a little Bible. She has a big Bible. Zipping it up. Does anybody have any questions? No questions. I want to do that one. When we get back from vacation, we'll just have questions and we'll answering sessions. Ethel likes the zipper. Yeah, because Ethel gets tired. She says, when is he going to stop with the fakakta thing? And she hears you zip it up, so we get out of here. Okay. Now stay